Hey everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of Insert Subject here. I am Makia.
And I am Anthony.
And this week we are going to talk to you, but we need you to talk back in the comments section below because we about to take the gloves off and get into some stuff on this week's episode of Insert Subject here.
Yeah.
So how are you doing today, Anthony?
I'm ready to get straight to it. Let's go.
Well, let's get into it. You want to kick it off?
So Dave Chappelle, the closer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched it. And as we're recording, there's a lot still happening with organizations wanting the closer taken off of Netflix.
Yes, but I just read that Netflix said, nope, we're not taking it down.
Well, that is a plus.
And I didn't think they were, because Sticks and Stones was the most watched,
Yes.
most award-winning
Yep.
stand-up comedy special. So I didn't expect any different than Netflix. And first, Netflix, I want to thank you.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
I feel like there's the line is being blurred between bullying and genuine concern.
I don't even think it's, I agree, but I don't even think it's just bullying and genuine concern at this juncture. I think there is a problem with people accepting opinions that don't match theirs.
I totally.
And that's starting to bother me. Like, there's never been a time where me not liking peas meant you have to cancel me as a person because I hate vegetables.
I agree. And I think it has progressively started to get worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. And first, let me say that this is not a bash to anybody in any community or anything. This is just our opinions. This is just what we're reading, what we're feeling. But it just seems to me that it's been progressively getting worse, because when you start going back and pulling up people's tweets and people's costume choices from when they were younger, all of us have told a black man, white man, Chinese man joke.
Absolutely.
And every culture has told some inappropriate things. People have dressed inappropriately. I've been an Indian a couple of times, Native American. I've been a few things that were real sketchy. And if anybody goes back and pulls up and anything that any of us, any of you have said or done, would you be canceled? And
that's the part. It was you catching yourself saying, I've been an Indian, I mean Native American. So Indian was fine. When I found out Indian wasn't fine, it's been Native American. But I've spent 15 years thinking Indian was fine because I'm not saying it with malice. Mm-hmm. I'm saying this is how I learned to describe that person. But they don't like that. So now you're Native American, and I'm okay with that. You're indigenous people.
I was going to say,
I'm okay with that.
Is it Native American?
Yeah, so it's whatever it is that you've decided that you want to be, and that's what makes you comfortable, because I'm not going to be walking around called the N-word. No. That's just not what you're going to do to me.
It's not going to work.
So I get it. I don't like it, but that's what they called us back then. But you get a right to change. But the fact that I had a chance to change means I'm learning to adapt to what you want. Right?
Exactly.
So you got to give me some grace if I adapt to what I'm familiar with from time to time and correct me. Don't kill me.
Yes. And that's why it seems more like a witch hunt at this point than actual. Why can't we come together and educate one another, or sit down and have a conversation about this offends me? But you also have to take into consideration that if I feel the way that I feel, that's okay, as long as it's not hate, as long as I'm not spewing anything that's going to promote violence or any of that, or I'm not going to purposely make you feel some kind of way. Dave Chappelle said multiple times that he does not have a problem with the community, multiple times. And still everything was taken and twisted to fit an agenda. And they say that there's an agenda. And at first I was like, there's no agenda. And then the more I sat and was watching things, I was like, like, and I know you have a point you want to say, but like Lil Nas X.
I'm eating it.
Lil Nas X said he doesn't feel accepted in the music industry because he's gay.
As he streams 55 billion times.
Exactly.
On Spotify.
Now, because the music industry with certain people don't necessarily applaud you or don't necessarily want to work with you, that's okay.
It's fine.
And it's not necessarily because you're gay. It might mean you just not their taste.
It's not what they want to hear, period. And it's so back to the first point, because I don't want to get too far. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you regardless. Dave Chappelle, like you said several times, hey, I have no problem with these people. And he went through that special and identified exactly what the mishap was in each of his encounters that had him deemed transphobic, homophobic. He went through each encounter, and the ability to offer the same grace you want to receive is never offered from the other side, it seems.
Yes.
Because if we're having this interaction and you are intentionally trying to entrap me into this debate, or you're trying to, it could be just a general misunderstanding, but emotions are high. Why are you the only one that gets to respond and not me?
I agree. I 100%
And I think that has nothing to do with hating any particular person, preference, rate. It's just, I should be able to respond with my emotions just like you should. And my emotions should be taken as valid, just like yours should. And that's the only true issue I genuinely have with the LGBTQ community. I don't care who you love. I want you to love who you love. I want you to be with who you want to be with. My issue is the lack of understanding that you offer to those of us who don't understand your lifestyle. And you don't need me to understand it, because that joke at the end when he was like, I just want you to accept I'm having a human experience. Perfect. That's exactly what I accept. But you have to understand that I'm having a human experience dealing with this change.
Bingo.
So accept my struggle through this too, just like I'm accepting yours through this. And I think that's the one disconnect we have.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm a filthy fornicator. Growing up, I had a couple little bastards.
Oh my Jesus.
I had a couple little kids out of wedlock. And there are some comedians who go out and tell jokes about me.
Hard.
And I sit there like, and then sometimes somebody hurt, and I be like, dang, I did make some poor decisions back in my life. Dang.
But I don't think I've ever heard you say, we need to get that special taken down.
Absolutely not.
I think he is single momophobic, and that's not cool. Like, listen, we were talking, and there's an audience for everything.
There is.
And I get stuck at the place of, just because I don't want to hear redneck comedy doesn't mean redneck comedy shouldn't exist.
Exactly.
It's just not, I'm not going to go pay my money to go listen to it.
Right.
I'm not going to buy tickets to go see the person that does that, because I don't relate. I don't get it. So I'm not going to say, hey, stop making a living telling the jokes that you used to telling to the people that want to hear those jokes from you. I'm just going to say, I'm not going to see that one, because I don't get it.
Right. And I used to live in the ghetto. I'm still like, I'm on the ghetto, non-ghetto line. What's the ghetto, non-ghetto?
Don't believe her. We ain't there.
I'm from the whoop whoop, the blue light district. You know when they used to come in and put the blue lights
ain't
up?
Ain't that blue light nowhere near her.
It was. And so when people be talking about their GPS, and it be the white people talking about their GPS took them to some sketchy communities. I lived in a sketchy community. And sometimes I laugh, and sometimes I be like, ouch, that sure did hurt. But I'm not going to say that person shouldn't be able to practice the art form that they like to.
That's what he's famous for.
And so it's. Do you remember back in the day, it was this big controversy about the Cheerios commercial that had the first interracial relationship?
Yes.
So it was like, okay, you started seeing more and more interracial relationships. Yep. And at first I was like, is it purposely being done? Like, are you trying to force us to accept it? Not to say that I don't accept interracial relationship, but it just came out of nowhere.
It's the whole wave of it that makes you uncomfortable.
And now I started seeing more and more same-sex relationships in movies and TV series. And then it progressively started getting to where they were doing the guy-on-guy action or the girl-on-girl action. And
Scandal caught me off guard. Yeah. I'm not going to lie, Cyrus was my guy. Cyrus was the stone cold killer.
Right.
But that scene with him and his husband just came out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, and then it just moved on to Cyrus being Cyrus. And I was like, but that scene, I guess it was for a reason. I didn't know the reason. It didn't feel like it fit the show for me.
It was trying to normalize it, which if that's the way you're going, okay, but I'm curious, why does it have to be normalized? Meaning, why can't it just be okay for somebody to love who they love and be with whoever they want to be with?
Bingo.
And not make a whole big spectacle about it, because you don't make a spectacle about different sex marriages or relationships or anything like that. So to me, why does it have to be this big push behind normalizing that? Why it's normal. Like, so, it's normal.
And you can correct me in the comments, because this is conversation that I'm willing to engage in, but I'm also going to speak about what I feel and think I know and what I've read. I do know in the beginning the LGBTQ movement was about inclusion.
Correct.
They wanted to be included and treated as normal.
Mm-hmm.
However, they thought normal was wrong. And I had a disconnect with that, because I was like, if you want to be treated as normal, but you think normal is wrong, let's just say you want to be treated fairly. Right. Let's make the statements kind of really be what they are. So I think they want it to be included. And again, comment below. Let me know if I'm off.
Educate us, because I'm curious.
But to be included, you have to have whatever it is that you've chose to do be accepted. And that was their plight from the beginning. Now it's changed to, it feels like it's changed to, we want to represent everything. We need representation everywhere. And I get it, but I couldn't watch, what was the Nelly video that they put on Uncut? Tip drill. Because that was a man appreciating a woman's body that he was attracted to. Mm-hmm. And it was deemed sexualization of women. Mm-hmm. And it was misogynist, and it was wrong. And we're not going to play this on prime time, because this shouldn't be played on prime time, because sex has no place in prime time. But when did that stop? Exactly.
Now, before we go too far, I want to get back to my question, because I'm trying to understand. As of the taping of this episode, today is National Coming Out Day. And I never understood why, if it's normal, why does it have to be a come out? Like, why does it have to be an announcement? And this is not me saying
this isn't picking fun.
I'm just trying to understand. If it's just, I'm with who I want to be with, this is who I am, I don't understand why there has to be an announcement with it. Back in the day, the movie Cinderella, that starred Brandy, was such a mishmash of different races. You had Whoopi Goldberg, a black woman, who was married to a king who was a white man, who had like a Asianish son, and nobody questioned anything. Like, we just took, this is the movie.
It's the movie.
That's it. And the same thing with all of the, we watched a few shows where there were trans women, trans men, and we just took it as they're just actors, like the movie, like the show. And I wish it came back. Euphoria. The actress that played
Jules.
Yep. We didn't quite it was just, this is what it is. And so where did we get to? It has to be announced that this is a trans person. Can you comment down below and explain to me just why this is being done now? I'm just curious. Because I thought, it's normal. Like, of course it's not normal, because some people are still struggling.
But it is normal. No, I don't. And I guess, and I'm not going to say I guess, because I'm going to stop doing this. It's normal because what I do in my bedroom it doesn't change who I am as a person. So I don't wear a badge to say, hey, I'm freak nasty in the bedroom with my wife. Like, that doesn't matter to who I am as Anthony. Right. So it confuses me, because it's like the thing I'm supposed to learn about you first is your sexual orientation, or what you identify yourself as. And what I'm concerned about is your character as a person.
Right.
And I don't think any of that has to do with your character as a person, to me.
Just like the celebrities or even friends that we have that are in open marriages or open relationships, or people have 2 girlfriends or 2, they don't come out and say, hey, I have 2 girlfriends. It's just...
And it don't change how I feel about them as people.
Right. So that's why I didn't understand. It's only within this community that it seems like it has to be an announcement made. And I want to understand why that is. So can you hit the comment section below and just explain that, or help us to understand? And if you have the same question or any other question, hit the comment section below, because maybe we might have a follower or to a subscriber that could educate us on this. Because I really am big on education.
Yep.
And how things come about. And if you know me, you know I always ask questions.
She got too many questions.
I got too many questions. So I'm always curious about these types of things. And what Chappelle said was really good when he was talking about how the LGBTQ community is getting their agenda pushed. And then I'm curious, how did other stuff fall by the wayside, like human trafficking? We don't have as big a push for that or support for that. Or when we find out that somebody's doing something, it's like a rah, sis, boom, bye. And then it quietly like fizzles out and it's not. And before, there was this big movement about dark-skinned women being in movies and shows and videos whenever they had women representation.
Finally, Peter Nyong'o.
Yeah, they would have lighter complected women or mixed women. They wouldn't have little dark-skinned Makia in their video. And it was the big
orange talking about dark-skinned Makia, but go ahead.
I mean, I'm kind of like spicy red.
I'm going to let you live.
And I was just curious, like, how do we pick and choose what we're going to get behind and how we're going to support and what we're going to cancel, who we're going to cancel if they say something that we don't agree with? I'm just curious how we get to that point.
That's a good question, and it's, I think, the bigger portion of the people who chose to misunderstand what Dave Chappelle was saying. They missed what he was saying. Like, how did the LGBTQ movement surpass the movement for racial equality? Because I think, and I mean, I've watched it twice. I'm going to watch it a third time just to make sure I'm not. But the two times I attentively watched, I saw the juxtaposition of, you guys are making a movement about what bathroom you can go into, and they're passing laws for it, and they're striking down stupid laws for it, but that George Floyd is still happening.
Yeah.
And Breonna Taylor is still happening, and bigger issues are at play than a bathroom, and it's not to marginalize anything that any group goes through, but it's in the hierarchy of things. What should take more precedence?
And I'm not saying, and we're not saying that any one thing is better or worse than the other, but can we all?
But people are dying, and I get it. Back in the day, I have gay family members that were in fights often.
Yeah.
Because they were gay. I don't hear about that too often now. They just get to be them. And I am appreciative because back then they had to fight. People died. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I understand that you had to get that under control. But now that that's under control, can we move on to the rest of the violence? You know what I mean? Like, use whatever bathroom you want. I'm cool with it. But can we get to some of the bigger issues or help us move these other agendas? Because as I was thinking, like, have you ever seen the LGBT community for racial equality? I haven't seen movements like that. It's just all for their, lack of a better word, agenda. And it's tough let's get together.
Yeah. We should support one another, especially when it's about inclusion and you want to make sure everybody is happy and cared for and safe. So now, today, on National Coming Out Day, I'm coming out. John Kent, the son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane.
Y'all know who Clark Kent is. Superman.
Came out today as bisexual. Now, this is a very touchy subject for me because when it comes to the stuff that we're giving our kids, and I don't know, I'm not a comic book reader. I don't know if comic books are for kids or if they're for adults.
I think they're for both. It's supposed to be like a TVE. Like everybody should be able to. Okay.
So, I don't like all the kissing and pounding that goes on in television.
What is it?
The pounding. Did you see what I did there? I'm going to do it one more time. Can you guess what's happening? If you know, hit them comment section below.
Yo, I can't.
But
Go ahead.
But I would like to, this is my only struggle. I would like to be able to sit down and have conversations with my kids about sex and their sexuality and all of this stuff. I don't want social media or books to navigate that world for me.
Damn TikTok.
I still, like, if we're watching a movie and it look like stuff about to get too steamy, I'm like, cover your eyes.
I still cover my kids' eyes. Like, and Kennedy's what, 15?
She's 15.
And Jordan's 11. And it's to the point where, like, if we're watching a movie together and they just start kissing, cover your eyes. Because that's what was done to me.
Exactly. And I don't want to put anything in their heads sexually now because
too early.
I want them to focus on school.
It's too early.
Focus on getting your grades together. Focus on being a kid. Like,
but they can't. They can't.
And that's one of the issues that I have is that now we're having these conversations and we have to talk to our kids about it. And I don't know. That's why I'm asking y'all, which probably isn't the best thing.
I think it goes to piggyback and to carry on. We have to talk to them about it because it's being talked to them about.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
We were talking to our youngest, and it was the second day of school.
Second day of school.
And she came home and told me, I said, how was your day, babe? And she was like, my day was great. And da, 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 da. And there are 3 people in my class that refer to themselves as they, and there are 2 gender non-binary people in my class. And I'm just like, we didn't learn favorite colors today. We learned in the 6th grade sexual preferences. I don't even know how we got here.
Right. And people are like, back when I was 4, I knew I was born in the wrong body. When I was 4, I liked Barbies. By the time I hit 8, I didn't like Barbies no more. I was in the makeup. Then by the time I was 10, I was like, ooh, I wonder what little boys about. Then by the time I was 13, I was like, boys are stinky. I don't like them. So it was an ever-changing thing. Like, I went through a big baggy jeans phase, and then I went through a tomboy phase, and then I went through, I want to be cute and wear heels. Like, kids are just changing so much as they grow up and figure out what they like and what they don't like. And I don't want them to fit. That's why I don't let the kids watch like the Real Housewives, Basketball Wives, Dirty Downtown Wives. I don't let them watch any of that because I don't want.
If y'all know what channel Dirty Downtown Wives, come on, tell me so I can do some research.
So I just want them to be pure. I just want you to want what you want because you want it. I don't want you to have
be influenced.
Yeah. And I don't want you to want to have relations. Not right now.
I think that's the tough part because I don't even think they're thinking about. I don't think any of this for them has to do with sexual relations. Mm-hmm. I don't think what they are saying they identify as or what they feel they like has to do with any form of physical attraction. I feel like, back then in school, it was, you had the cool kids, you had the jocks, you had the nerds, you had the outcasts. And now you got the cool kids, the jocks, the nerds, the outcasts, the gay kids, the lesbian kids, the gender non-binary kids, the asexual kids, the this kids. And you're just finding groups of people who just seem to get along and identify as this thing. And you want to fit into the ones that accept you the most. And I'm not saying all kids are that way, but I'm saying a good majority of them, because you watch them flow back and forth. Mm-hmm. And then now you're fluid, and it's almost like a different, and this isn't me being funny, it's a different term every day for some new way to express yourself and your sexual identity. And it's growing confusing because it went from all my life 2 things to I hit 11 and you got the option of a 3rd thing to now you got about 18 things you could be.
And I went to an all-girls school. And we had girls that like girls, so what? We didn't care. Like, we didn't care. I was still cool with you, regardless of what you like. I don't care. I just want everybody to be happy. Whatever makes you happy, as long as it's not hurting anyone.
And as long as it's not hurting you.
Right.
I'm cool. Like, the people that get this, I was watching The Breakfast Club. They did an interview with a young lady, and she intrigued me to the fullest. I can't remember her name. It's Tamika Mallory, I think. It'll be up here somewhere. But she was talking about, she's sitting there, she's on the thing, she's talking to Charlamagne, beautiful young lady. And she's talking about how the process she went through growing up to save enough money to change, to become a woman. I had no clue. Didn't care. Like, it didn't bother me. It didn't change. It didn't say anything different. It was just like, wow. And I listened to her story because it was a very intriguing story. She was talking about the job she worked to save money to get to the surgery because the surgery was $10,000 and she didn't have this. And then her dad beat her up because she felt this. And that's tough. And I get it. That's indicative of what I see the struggle for LGBTQ community is.
Yeah.
I do know that some people are so against it that they will harm people for it. I do know that there are people out here who feel like, that's not normal, that's not right, and you're going to hell, and I condemn you, and I won't look at you the same. I get those are people that are out there, but they aren't indicative of all of us.
That is correct.
And because of that, I don't think everybody that's not a part of the community should be treated the same way. Because there are a lot of us who really are genuinely in this to see you happy.
Yeah.
But we also are confused.
I have a coworker who's, we were out at a restaurant and we bumped into my coworker. And she was like, that's my child. And I looked at the child and the child had completely transitioned. Mm-hmm. And he was beautiful, handsome. And I was like, wow. And I'm hugging him like, oh my God, like looked great. Not that, it doesn't.
Listen, he walked in, I dapped him up. Nothing else went through my head. It was, what's up, bro? And went on about eating my crab legs. Like, it was just,
but I had, me, and I had questions. And of course I wasn't going to ask because I didn't want to be offensive, but he had like a full beard. Yep. And I was like, I knew him before the transitions.
I didn't. So I was like, what's up, bro? Like showing off that. That's good. Good to see you, King. And I kept on moving about my business.
And I want to know, like, how does that work? How do we do that? And I'm not going to say this other thing because one time we watched a video because I'm always Googling and I'd be like, Anthony, watch this with me. So we Googled like a transition after.
All right. Here's where, if you are watching with your kids, stop now, pause, tell them peace out, and then hit play. Continue.
And so it was, we watched a video that when you go in the back of the video store and you pull the curtain and it's a different section, we were in that section. And I wanted to see when bits get converted to other bits, how does it work when you want to have bedroom time?
And we watched it.
And
I'll say this. It looked uncomfortable. And it takes a lot more prep work.
It does.
Like, you can't just warm up the oven with a little foreplay and stimulation with that one. Now, you got to go get lubricants and pliers and a monkey wrench.
Now you stop it.
2 crowbars.
Now you stop it.
And then you got
We done. Unpause. Unpause already. Unpause. Unpause. We unpaused.
It was the things you got shot when we paused stop. Clear. Boom. Perfect. You know what you did?
Please. The commentary produced by my co-host is not reflective of my thoughts, ideas, or opinions.
Well, if you Google it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I think the person...
Let's stop.
Okay.
You can unpause now. So, Anthony.
Yo.
After all of that...
What did you do, Shawty?
What do you have for us today?
All right. Okay. That was a... Okay, all right. Cool out. Everybody cool out. I appreciate all of the fathers that are doing the best they can. There's an overwhelming feeling amongst a lot of the great brothers around me, and they're questioning their parenting and what they're doing. Our children are inundated with access to too much information thanks to the internet, like the TikToks and they have access to way more information, and a lot of it is useless information, but they don't know how to distinguish that. And as a parent, the number of people that I've heard asking what more can they do to help their kids see what they're doing for them is growing. Our children today are taking a lot of us and a lot of things that they have for granted because they're used to having. Mm-hmm. And when you look back on our lives as kids, we grew up not having. So once we got to a place where we did have, we appreciated having. And it made us work harder to make sure our kids never felt that not having. Like I can tell my kids have never seen the refrigerator empty. Mm-hmm. My kids have never not been able to go out and buy something they wanted. They've been told no, mm-hmm. but it's never been a place where they couldn't get something that they wanted because we didn't have. And that was on purpose. We worked that hard to get to that point. But because of that, they've gotten to a place where they're just like, well, I expect this. As a parent, we're supposed to provide for them physically, but also emotionally, spiritually. And I think the provision from fathers, the financial aspect, is the part that's taken for granted because it's expected, but the other two aspects are ignored. And I just want to take a moment to say, brothers, y'all doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. Y'all doing the best y'all can. Don't give up. Don't get tired. Don't give in. Keep doing what you're doing. And when your kids are at a point where they can understand the conversations that need to be have them. You don't have to pull out a ledger, show them your bank account. You don't have to sit down and tell them this is what I paid for you and this is the time I prayed for you. But you do get to sit down with them and tell them, listen, I'm your biggest supporter in every aspect of your life. And as your biggest supporter, you have to accept and understand that there is more to me and there is more to what I'm doing than just what you expect me to do. Period. So fellas, don't get tired. Your kids need you. Your kids' moms need you. Your grandkids that are soon to come need you. Don't get tired. Don't give up. Don't walk away. I was laughing with a buddy of mine, like the deadbeat just gets to walk away clean and clear. Nobody holds him to anything. Nobody takes anything for granted from that deadbeat parent. But the ones that are there fighting, they get the hardest. So just hang in there, fellas. Just keep going. It pays off in the end. Just keep going because our kids need us. Our communities need us. Kick it.
So I have a question. Have you noticed that there's a shortage in certain things like chicken, sometimes it's beef, or like they raising the price of chicken or beef. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
But the price of burgers at McDonald's and Burger King hasn't gone up. I was out someplace and they had an MK and an MP beside chicken wings. But the McChicken been the same price this whole pandemic. So my question is, do y'all still trust the 99-cent cheeseburger? Like, when you think about it, that never went up.
Who ever trusted it? But anyway.
I did. Hashtag of the week. Why that price ain't go up? I'm just curious. Like, the Happy Meal, it went up a little bit. But if beef went up, McDonald's, how y'all still affording to put out the same product at the same cost when it's a shortage? Y'all ain't run out? I'm just curious. Hit the comment section below.
I can't with you. This was a great episode. Again, we did not have this episode to attack anybody. I wanted to say what I felt, my feelings about the Dave Chappelle, the closer special. It was masterful. Mm-hmm. I feel like what he did with addressing the issue he felt he had and making it humorous and not being offensive to any one person. I think he did it remarkably. I think he's a master at his craft. And I think conversations need to be had before you start trying to cancel and remove and take away the opinions of others that don't agree with what you feel others should feel. So, with that, I'm Ant.
And I'm Makia.
And thanks for stopping by to talk some issues today.
Bye.
Peace.